arm throw. You see this in wrestling. You see it in judo. You see it in jiu-jitsu. You see it in sambo. This is a very, very universal and popular throw. In the event that I wanted to throw Joel in some way, I have to start with a grip. Everybody say, make a grip!
Make a grip.
All right, I'm going to transition from this grip, which is a traditional grip. You notice I've got a high collar hold and I've got a sleeve grip here. I'm going to move in and I'm going to hug him like he's my buddy. Like, Joel, how you doing, buddy? Good. Right?
I know.
See how I'm kind of in a T shape to him. I'm facing him here. I'm perpendicular to him here. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Now, once we get into the next position, I want to break his balance. So if Joel's strong in his stance, it's going to be hard for me to throw. So once I make my grip, I want to move in, and then I want to bend him. Don't move, Joel. As I step away, wouldn't you like to fight somebody in that position? Right? Hey, Joel. So we kind of start putting these things together. Make a grip!
Make a grip.
Move!
Move.
Break balance!
Break balance.
Now you got two choices. I can go right to my knee, which is easy. I drive his head to the ground, and I take a scarf hold position, and I can finish that throw that way. Or, if I choose, I can stay standing, right? This is a little more judo flavor, right? This way. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
And we can make some other modifications as needed. Thanks, sir. Thanks, Rich. So we want everyone to get a partner close in size. Let's see. Talk about a couple of these fine points. Can I borrow you, Lyndon? Okay. So let's say, for example, he has, short sleeves and I don't have a whole lot to grip onto, right? We're going to grab, I like the top of the arm. Some people are going to try this particular grip. I find that to be difficult. I'm going to grab this, right? I'm going to start with the neck, right? So I can pull him here. If we're wrestlers, then we're going to be more into this position in a collar tie. But for all intents and purposes, let's start here. Now I still have to make this move. But now watch what I'm going to do with my bicep here. He's going to feel it. You guys might not feel it, but he's going to feel it. I go to make the move and watch. Pop! And I'm knocking his head kind of to the side, right? You're not trying to knock him unconscious. It might be difficult to do that with a bicep. I could probably do it with a fist, but I'm using this to break his balance, right? So I step, pop, right? Now I'm in a great position. I've broken his balance. If he stands back up and I go to make this throw and he's based, he won't let me. All right, I go to make the throw, he's going to resist, and I'm going to have some difficulty. So the break balance is super important. So I start here, right? I come across, I bop him, and I make the throw. Okay? So that's the standing version, which is pretty cool. I move in here. Now, I look for where I want my feet to go. I kind of move in close, and I bop him to the side. But now watch. I make another step here, and I drive my knee to the ground, this one, which gives me the pinning move. So in wrestling, this would be pinning. In judo, this is osaikomi. Osaikomi means hold down or pin. All right? I want us to get here. Notice I didn't move my hands. This is in the same position I was. Right? No gi, I'd still be here. Right? Gi, I might be here. Or even here. I'm going to hold on to his jacket, his shirt. Now watch. I'm going to control him in a way that makes sense for me to stay on top. My ear's going to be close to his ear. I'm going to reach low and I'm going to grab my leg so that I am hard to lift. Now you might notice he could grab his hands and make a body lock. If I'm low, he should not be able to easily to roll me. He goes to roll me. And he's young and strong. He should be able to do it. Now watch. I'm going to move about 5 or 10%. Watch my ribs. Now he goes to roll me. It was a small amount that changed everything. So where I am on him matters. Can we make the throw?
Yes, sir.
Can we land in hold down position?
Yes, sir.
What's the name of this position? Scarf hold. Your arm is like a scarf around his neck. In Japanese, it's Kesa Gatame. Gatame. Kesa Gatame, okay? So we're here, right? Scarf, hold, or even here. Drive the knee, drive his head, hold, right? Get low, control. Maybe get additional grip here. Stay low. this move here, I'm now susceptible to being rolled. He goes to roll me. I have to do something pretty dangerous. I have to reach and maybe change position. He could escape. Let's do it. Initiate movement, break balance, drop, hold, right? Now, if I want to finish him off, there's a lot of ways I can do this. If you're quiet and you listen carefully, you will see the first method. I grab the tricep, I pull, I lift up on his head, and I sit my butt out, and he goes, and I'm collapsing his lungs. And when I say collapse his lungs, I make it hard for him to breathe, and he will ultimately either tap out or he'll get really tired, which is pretty cool. If he's tired, his defenses go down. You need oxygen in the body to move the muscles. You burn up the oxygen fighting a bad position, you're not breathing, get tired. So the next thing that I want you to do after you've done this move, right? I love doing it, Lyndon really doesn't like, right? Is I want to see if I can go ahead and lock this arm. I'm just going to go ahead and push it straight down this way. The thumb is in the position that's in the up position so that I know that the elbow is here. It doesn't go down any further. I hook it with my leg. Once I lock this, I lift my thighs to make that lock, and he should tap. If he doesn't tap, apply slow, steady pressure. Make sure that you have. If he doesn't tap, you continue to add pressure until he taps. Make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
By the way, in self-defense, this is a good way to immobilize and maybe injure the arm. But I got a whole lot of stuff going on right here. What can I do with this hand? Okay, someone said poke the eyes. I love that. What else can I do? I can hit him, right? I could put the thumb in the eye. I could gouge that eye out in self-defense, right? I could do all of that. What about this? What can I close his nose, his mouth off? I could suffocate him. There's a lot of stuff that I could do if I choose to. Who can do the straight arm lock from there?
Sir.
Quickly. Go. It's going to be on YouTube if you guys want to go later and kind of check some of this stuff out. Most of us have seen this. By the way, if you've seen this one time and one time only, raise your hand. If you've seen it 2 times, raise your hand. More than 2 times, more than 5 times, you will see this information again and again. I cycle through information periodically to make sure that we get it, because we have people that are joining at all times, and some people have it, and we have lots of peer coaching, so that's pretty good. Where's my dude? All right. So again, I use my magic, and Lyndon falls to the ground. Now, wouldn't it be cool if we could really just do that and didn't have to go through the whole process of throwing, right? All right. So I'm here in this position, and I've got him in scarf hold. I pried this arm down, and I locked it. Now, some of you guys are kind of doing this. Lyndon's not really tapping. I curl this leg. Now, I've got it locked. The leg didn't go down any farther. I lift my hips and affect both the shoulder and the elbow. Does that make sense? So I'm doing this. See how my hips come up? But once I get this pinned and it's locked, I can make that, I can affect the angle. Pretty cool? All right, so we're here. I go to make this move, and Lyndon's like, I don't want to do that. He immediately either bends the arm up or bends the arm down, whichever way is fine. Now, he's in an Americana kind of position. All I got to do is hold that, and I put this leg over the top. Then I lock it this way, and I just hold him, right? Now, I could, see if you can get that arm out, by the way. Kind of hard, right? And I can put my hand right here just to hold it down. Now, watch. All I got to do is lift his head, and I'm going to make him tap. Or I can move my leg, and I can make him tap. See how that goes down and affects the elbow a lot and the shoulder a little bit? More elbow or more shoulder?
More shoulder.
More shoulder? Okay, I got more shoulder in this case. I can also, again, I can crank this way and lift the head and multiply that pain. Does that make sense? Now, I'm going to tell you that I saw a guy, a jiu-jitsu guy, that said, in real life, I'll break somebody's arm before they can gouge my eyes or before they can grab my groin and do other real self-defense moves. Those things don't work against a jiu-jitsu guy. I promise you, if his hand is down here and he's got a chance to grab the groin, I'm not going to let him do that if I can help it. But he could legitimately still gouge the eyes, right? So he reaches across and puts his hand in my face, right, to gouge the eyes. I immediately have to control that some way, and I can still do this while I avoid him gouging my eyes. Notice if I'm holding this and I'm doing this, he now can no longer tap with his hands. He should tap with his foot when it hurts. Right? Does that make sense? All right, so this is an Americana. This affects the shoulder and the elbow a little bit. And again, it's a pretty good move. I go to do this move. He bends the arm. and he gives it to me. Because he doesn't want me to do this, so he bends it. Can we do that move? Sure. Remember, the first one, it's under the top leg. This is the leg closest to the ceiling. The second one, it's under the bottom leg, the one closest to the ground. And then I can lift up on the head and I can crank it to make it more powerful. Americana! Go! Did we almost get Michael? We go to this, make this move, right? And he bends his arm, I go to make this move, right? So we also have some other neat options. What if he bends his arm down this way, right? I'm like, uh-oh, I don't really have anything, right? Let's show this elbow. Right? The first thing is, remember, his arm is a certain, this is super important for self-defense. His arm is a certain amount of inches long. If he gets his elbow to about here, he can grab the groin. That just makes sense. I don't want his elbow there. But if his elbow's here, he can grab the back of my leg or he can grab my butt. He's not grabbing my groin from here. Does that make sense? Now watch this elbow. I start bending this elbow this way, and I lift the head, and I make Kimura Lock, right? So you can drop this elbow, this foot down. See how I affect the elbow? Hey, you liking that?
No.
All right, and then I can angle up here, and I can make small Kimura Lock. You can also seat belt this around your body. Now watch. I start sitting out, and I make different Kimura Lock. See how this is basically the Kimura Lock here? I'm lifting up on the elbow, and I'm angling my body down, and I'm affecting that elbow. Okay? So you got a small Kimura Lock there. If it's not enough, you can go back to something else. You can push it off, go straight. You can go for this one. Or if he says, you know what, I'm getting this hand out of dodge, and he pulls it up here and tries to frame, right? What should we do? Head and arm choke. The elbow is going to be the important part. Where is the elbow? If my elbow is back here and there's all this space, I'm not going to choke him. The elbow needs to be in around his neck. I tuck his elbow underneath my ear, and I want him to be kind of ear to ear with me, low. Then I'm going to grab, and I'm going to kind of make a binder here. I lock, and then I start choking this way. Okay? Does it make sense? Now, some of these guys are going to be bigger than other guys. So Joel's bigger dude. He's got bigger shoulders, he's got bigger neck, the whole 9 yards, right? But the bottom line is I want to pinch off this part of his neck, if I can, with that part of my bicep. And some of you guys are going to be like, holy crap, I can barely, I can't even make the lock. He's a big dude, right? I get in, and I start turning. And I want to make a circle here. I turn until I get to the choking point. Okay? So if you do this, and he's not tapping, Joel's not tapping, he's not tapping, I make the circle, watch. And it drops my bicep closer to his neck, and it tightens that up. I take up the extra slack. Does that make sense? Sure. Make head and arm choke. Let's see. Can I borrow you, sir? Dylan? Yeah. So some of you, I think, just lay down. Some of you, I think, struggled a little bit with this seatbelt looking one. All right? So let's talk about the Kimura Lock. The Kimura Lock works extremely well when the elbow is a little bit higher. The wrist goes lower than the elbow. He can tell that that's not going to be good for his shoulder. Right? That thing's going to come unglued. Here, it can move a little bit more, right? So again, if you're doing this one, you want to be in this position, and I want to bend that elbow, right? And I want to lift it, right? And then I want to drive this way until he's uncomfortable. And if you're not getting as much love, you can go back to this one, right? And now I can force this into a little bit better submission, right? But again, if it's still not exactly what you want, you've worked it, didn't work, right? Maybe you go back to this one, you worked that, didn't work for some reason. Guys made it spaghetti, right? You go to this one, maybe that one doesn't work. This one works. Even if the guy's willing to give up his arm and he's going to let you dislocate or break his arm, some people on meth might do that. Post this across your head, right? Take up the space. Make the binder, right? Now I start pulling here. He doesn't tap. He's like, I'm still going to
not tap. Sooner or later, he runs out of oxygen when I make it really tight. Once you run out of oxygen, it's not a choice of how much pain can I take. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So in order for me to really affect this arm, let's take the straight arm lock, once I get him to the 180-degree mark, it doesn't go any further, he can take pressure for a while, right? Depending on how strong his joints are, right? The shoulder joint is a much more painful lock in the rotator cuff when you start getting into this kind of Kimura action, right? But I'm gonna tell you that no matter which way he goes, sooner or later it will give, right? And he might be strong, he might be able to resist, but the bottom line is that you're also still holding down, okay? But he can't resist being choked because the body has to have air. The body doesn't have to have an arm. Doesn't that make sense? Sure. So you get into here and you crank this bad boy, you should finish it. All right. I want us to fight, so we're gonna stop right there. I've got more stuff I could show you, and we'll have a lot more fun, I think, fighting than doing more stuff. Everybody on the wall, we must fight!